Last year, we paid our first visit to the sand dunes of Scheveningen in Holland for the Veronica Beach Races, a gathering of some of the best motocross riders in Europe and possibly some of the worst, with 500 starters. Today, we return to this event, which has tremendous spectator support. The organisers estimated 200,000 non-paying fans lining the sea wall. Well, the track has to be built, obviously, when the tide is out, because artificial jumps and corners are created by engineers who wouldn't bury uncle in the sand. It's much too serious. Chris Carter takes up the story.
A cast of 550 riders, including some of the top motocross names of Europe's assembled here, and they're off on a 20-minute race over a 3-mile circuit, including jumps, chicanes, deep sand and tarmac. There's a mile straight where they'll hit 100 miles an hour, and hairpins where the pace is down to just a crawl. Jackie Mertens of Belgium leads with René van der Marr, a Dutchman, taking over command as the pack heads out at the start of this opening lap. In the interests of safety, the start was staggered, 11 waves of 50 competitors starting at 5-second intervals. That and a nice wide start area should have made things at least easy on the opening section, but not for everybody. The leaders, though, they've got a clear track, and out in front, Dutchman Kees van der Ven is in command, with Jackie Martins, René van der Marr and Eric Gabors not so far behind. Things look easy for the leaders, but behind things are getting a little bit more tricky. But out goes the man with the yellow flag, and there's a lot of them about. 1,100 officials all told for this monster event, and most of them armed with yellow flags. Kees van der Ven, bike number 6 though, on the KTM, out in front. Leaping at 60 miles an hour over the man-made jumps. The rest of the field being left further and further behind. And it's still René van der Marr in second place behind Kees van der Ven as they turn round the hairpin at the end or halfway through the first lap and head out down the very, very quick main beach straight where the speeds will hit 100 miles an hour. Out in front, René van der Marr is now the new leader at the end of that sprint. Behind him, the Belgian Jackie Martins. René van der Marr, a privateer, doing very well in front of this enormous crowd of Dutch enthusiasts. But Martins is keen to find a way through. Fails that time. Martins hangs on to the lead. The rest of the field getting closer and closer, and Martins is desperate to find a way past the Dutchman. Seizes his chance, goes through on the inside, and the Belgian is now in command. Well, there's been no chance at all for any of the competitors to practice around this circuit. This is the first time they've seen any of it out on the wheels, although one or two, of course, have had a walk around the track. Martins on the KTM, out in front of 550 motocross machines, and he needs officials to tell him which way to go. And it's Martins ahead of René van der Marr. Then behind him you can see Eric Gabors and the yellow jersey moving up through the field. And now Eric Gabors on the Suzuki, just brushing past the barrier there, trying very hard to take over the lead from Martins, but Martins hangs on. This is the battle now for the lead. But a problem for the front runners. This is the melee out over the jumps where the tail enders of the opening lap are going to find the way difficult for the two men behind. And this is where Gabors seizes his chance. He goes to the right-hand side, with Martins here on bike number 1, goes to the left. And Gabors seizes the chance to go through out in front. It's now Eric Gabors on the Suzuki ahead of Jackie Martins on the KTM. And Martins now must really get the throttle wide open if he's going to catch Gabors down the fast beach straight. Underneath the pier, the bike's topping 100 miles an hour. This is the man, though, out in front, Eric Gabors, and don't let that number 1 on his back fool you. He's riding bike number 7, the Suzuki of the factory team. Gabors picking his way through the slower tail enders. over the jumps again, and Geboers this time going for his favourite right-hand line. No problems this time for him. Through the ruts. Quick blip of the throttle, changing down the gearbox, missing a fallen rider, then winding on the power and up through the gearbox, wheeling his way on to that fast beat section. See the bike snaking under acceleration. It's not the smoothest of rides down there, and they don't back off the power one little bit. Eric Geboers, the man out in command. Geboers, bike number 7, again carving his way past the tail enders, and throughout the race it's been difficult. Onto the starting straight, a huge wide area of sand, and Geboers now starting his last lap can see victory in his grasp. Well, this start area looks wide enough for anybody, but Geboers is in trouble. A tail ender moves across his path, he's forced to the side, stalls his engine, and then has problems getting it started again. 3 men go past, and in one foul swoop, Eric Geboers drops from the race leader to 4th place. The bike fires up again, he charges off in pursuit, but he's got only half a lap to do something about catching the 3 men ahead of him. Leading the field now is the Dutchman Kees van der Ven on bike number 6, out on one of the tarmac sections here. And although things look easy for the front runners, for the tail enders, sometimes it can be a problem. Meantime, the leaders are out on the final section of the circuit. Kees van der Ven, number 6, charging for a sensational victory in this first leg. Through the deep sand, you can see the sand now rutted so much that it's down to the axle of the rear wheel. But he just winds on the throttle and pulls his way out of the sand. Kees van der Ven, the race leader, heading for victory in what is perhaps one of the biggest off-road motorcycling events in the Dutch calendar. The fans wave him on. Just a few hundred yards to go, and it's checkered flag time for Kees van der Ven, who wins from Harry Everts, Jackie Martins, Eric Geboers, and 5th, another Dutchman, Peter Hurling, who sticks a thumb in the air and waves a leg. But time and tide, unfortunately, wait for no man, not even the organisers. And a bright idea by Bob de Jong, the man who masterminded the whole event, that the last lap of the second leg would see the competitors having to ride through the sea, backfired miserably. After one false start, time was already against them. And here somebody in the second row so keen to get away, he didn't actually wait for the start signal. Joe Martins leads the charge this time, but again it's no go. They've all got to go back, even though not everybody knows it. Well, getting a field of this size all lined up again is easier said than done. The officials are really struggling, and though it might be funny to watch for outsiders, for the organisers it's a disaster. And for the top riders and the factory teams, it's totally infuriating. A cloud of 2-stroke smoke hangs above the field as they try to find their way back through the bad visibility to the place on the 11 rows where they were going to start from. It's tough for the organisers. But relentlessly, the tide climbs higher and higher up the beach. For the 3rd time, they're off. But again, it's the riders who've made the decision to go and not the officials. Well, a tide of water on one side of him and a tide of riders all around him. And this latter-day overworked Canute fails all round. Joe Martins leads the charge, but it's a totally wasted effort. They're going to do 1 lap, but it's in vain because the officials have decided that this is a false start. It would take a complete lap before the organisers could stop these men, and again the water was beginning to rise further and further up the beach. It was a lapping round the wheels. In fact, speaking of lapping, the water really had the last word. Here come the leaders, flagged off, and they're going to go back onto the grid for what they hope will be the 4th and final attempt to get this race underway. But for this man, an excursion into the briny has made life very difficult indeed, and a welcoming bulldozer driver gives him a hand to get back into the race. Here comes the judge in the form of Willem Belderman, the head of Dutch motorcycle sport, and it's all over.
Yes, and as a result of that, of course, the 1, 2, 3 of the first race would declare the overall winners. Victory for Kees van der Ven of Holland. In second place, the Belgian Harry Everts. Another Belgian in third, Jackie Martins. And in fourth place was Eric Geboers. Well, I suppose that King Neptune was the winner at the end of it all, wasn't he? Well, let us retain the motorcycle theme, but switch this time to speedway. And here's our tribute to one of the greatest riders of all time, 3 times world champion Ole Olsen. Although from Denmark, he's forged his career and reputation in this country, making his British League debut in 1967. Over the intervening 17 years, he's been with Newcastle, Wolverhampton, and finally Coventry. Dave Lanning takes us through Ole's distinguished career.
Ole Olsen was an unknown 20-year-old when he first arrived in British Speedway on April the 24th, 1967, possessing just a bike, £75,